There wasn't much music in my house, and I found that the freedom of the woods and the scuba diving and kind of inventing these gadgets to help further my cause, so to speak. I mean, I was pretty much a loner anyway, so it kind of fit the whole thing.
How does a guy who was such a nature buff, and your mom too, fall in love with a guitar? How did that happen? You said you had a lust for guitars. How did it start?
I think part of it was just it felt comfortable when I picked it up to play it. And then I finally convinced my parents to get me a guitar. And as hard as it was to play, it being an inexpensive student guitar, I just loved it because it was something that just felt comfortable. I had such a hard time because I really wanted to please my parents. I wasn't like one of those guys that was like, a screw up in school. I mean, I did what I was supposed to do, spent my time in study hall with a lot of the guys that were screw ups too, which kind of put that stigma on you. And it was a tough time in school. I did not have a good time there.
Well, they sent you to Vermont Academy. I mean, that was quite a story because they thought you were going to do better there, but well, the academics were the same, and you ended up getting thrown out of your hair.
I saw guys, being able to go home on the weekends because they had good grades and they didn't have to go to study hall. I had to go to study hall, and it just didn't work. And the tutors taught me the best they could, but the whole, not cutting my hair was so symbolic of the rebellion I was feeling at the time as well, because I just didn't see myself being, wearing a suit and tie and having that kind of a job. Got a gun. Dog did just be good. Now everybody is on the run.
So you had already met Stephen Tallarico up in Sunapee. He was also one of the guys that hung out up there, but you reconnected down here.
I'd seen his bands over a couple of summers come up to the lake, and it's a resort up there. And every summer the gang would get together wherever they came from, mostly from Boston or New York, and that's actually where I met him on a musical level. And he was without a band at that point. I really realized, how inventive a player he was, because I had seen him. His bands were cover bands, and of course, it takes a certain amount of skill and talent to be that good. But it's another thing to create songs and be able to write songs, and I could see that there was that potential there. Aside from the fact, when we talked about things like, about the woods and going out and water skiing and swimming in the lake and how much we loved that. And I think that formed the basis of our so-called our brotherhood is the best way to put it.
So you talked about a kid, how you dreamed of being a rock star. I mean, most kids do, and as you pointed out in the book, like 1 in a million, 1 in 8 million chances. In 1973, you and the band, I mean, you got this big hit, Dream On. Could you believe it at that point? I mean, here you are. It's exactly what you wanted.
It was stunning, frankly. I mean, just the fact that the band was asked back to play places. I mean, and we were kind of following our own path. We weren't playing with clubs as a cover band. We were going out into the suburbs and playing high schools and kind of putting on our own rock shows. And we weren't playing original songs at that point. Maybe 1 or 2, but we were certainly putting our own stamp on the cover songs that we were doing, and the audience was entertained.
All kinds of drugs became part of your lifestyle, which led to some of the fighting. But But even with the fighting, you said that you guys were motivated beyond reason, which kind of led to the interactions that you would have both on the stage and off.
Yeah, that's true.
Why were you motivated beyond reason?
You know, there was something about all of our personalities, whether there was, we were trying to prove something in some guys' cases. There was just, what I think is there was a common thread that ran through all our personalities that made us feel like we had to prove something. And there was the thing about like seeing Hard Day's Night and identifying with like the outsider side of the Beatles. I mean, rock and roll, you were kind of stepping outside of normal society, you know, and that kind of fit the pattern for the kind of rebellion that was going on at the time. I mean, it was a really intense decade. I mean, starting with the assassinations and then the marches down south and of course the war, which affected everybody, especially if you were 18 or 17 years old. I mean, we would see our friends getting drafted, and then we'd watch this horrible war on TV every day, and so that was a big part of the rebellion.
But at one point you said we were musicians fooling around with drugs,
right?
And we became druggies fooling around with music. I mean, that was a realization that things were spiraling out of control. You said 1979 was the worst year of your life. What happened?
Well, it was really strange because from the outside you'd see this band on stage that looked like they were right on the edge, and we were playing to 60,000 people at the drop of a hat. I mean, we were selling out all over the place and selling records, and but on the inside, we had a lot of trouble separating our personal lives from our business lives or the music. I mean, we were, you know, growing older and starting to find our own ways. I mean, some guys wanted to party with the groupies. Some guys wanted to have girlfriends. Some guys didn't know what they wanted to do.
You had no idea what was going on financially. It's almost like a cliche. You know, the big sports stars making millions of dollars, and suddenly look around and it's all gone. How could you not know, or did you not care? You just didn't know.
We didn't really pay attention to what was going on, and I think that they did the managers did anything illegal? I don't think so. Did they do what they did? Was it immoral? Yeah, I think they should have taken better care of us because we just did not have a clue. I mean, we were constantly working, so it came as a shock, and of course the red light went off in my mind. I always was kind of like trying to get the guys to bring in a third party to kind of just watch what was going on, but you know, we didn't. There was this. We don't want to upset the apple cart. Plus, we're having a lot of fun, and we just took all the infighting is part of the dynamic of the band. I mean, some of the conflict between Stephen and I, as far as the songs we wrote. We came from two different ends of the spectrum. I was like the anarchist, and he was the guy that wanted to practice and practice and practice. And somewhere in the middle, we were able to write this batch of songs that became the backbone of our career.
I get a kick out of you talking about how slow he was as a writer.
Well, you know, it was always a puzzle to me because he's so witty, and if you ever saw him on American Idol, he comes up with stuff like that, and I wish I had And I would have had $1 for every time I said to him, Stephen, write that down.
That was crazy good! You son of a... Click-a-brack-a firecracker, sis boom box. Back that baby on the and call me Christmas. What's with the juju bees on your ooh-ooh bees?
You know, and we'd be talking and joking in the car, and, you know, on some of the drives, you know, going to here to there, and he'd be like rattling on, and he'd make up these limericks, and I'd say, write that down. That would make great lyrics, and he would, no, I can't. And there is one thing, a technical thing that he does that separates him from other songwriters, is that because he's a drummer and he's very rhythm oriented, he likes to use words as almost like a percussion instrument, so that the words kind of sound, just the sound of the words help move the rhythm along of the song. And I'm always telling him, you know, like, lighten up a little bit, you know? I mean,
living in a movie, hot tramp, daddy's little cutie, you're so fine, I never see you leaving by the back door.
A lot of stuff happened, and you know, Stephen had that gig with American Idol, and he kind of sprung on you, and then he fell off the stage in South Dakota in 2009. But even after all of that, you guys had this kind of magnetism. You wanted to get back.
Even at the worst, when we're like, because the dynamics are different, you know, and our interactions with each other are very complicated, as you might imagine.
I can tell by the book. Yeah.
Even at the very worst, when it's time to go on stage, it's like there's that 5 or 10 minutes when we shed all that stuff, and we hear the music start, whatever we're playing at the beginning of the show, and we hear the audience roar, and the adrenaline starts to flow, and that's what we got together for.
But does it matter what you said about each other? I mean, things have been written down. You weren't the only one to call Steven Tyler cruel and evil. Tom Hamilton has said that too. Steve Tyler went on 60 Minutes and said you guys were riding his coattails.
Oh, they're jealous as hell of me. Are you kidding? And it took me 30 years to realize that. You know, I never thought they liked me. I thought there was all this animosity and stuff, and it was all just jealousy.
Give it a nod
I'll
and
get
say,
him back for
"Move
that
it."
one someday, you know. But not, you know. It's the kind of thing you just know. I know from all the time we've spent together, on stage and off stage, but you know, like in dealing with different things, that he's just that kind of person, and you know, he may believe that in 1 minute, and then the next minute he'll swear that he can't go on stage without the rest of the guys, and it's just how he is. He just, you know.
You guys going to dream on into the next couple of decades?
Well, I think if we can get through this next couple of months and apart and get some strength back, and I mean, we're pretty burned out. The last 4 years have been a lot of work, between him doing Idol and maybe doing the book and doing the last record and touring all through there, you know, and at different times. We've been going pretty steady for the last 4 years, so we need a little time to rest. I mean, I have yet to hear him, his take on the book. The other guys have been, you know, have read it, you know, and I know Steven's going to find something about it, but it won't be what I think it is. I can't. I've stopped a long time ago trying to second guess him, you know, and you know, well, I know this is going to piss him off. Well, you know what? I would never presume to figure him out, you know. I've learned that.